Jeff, thanks so much for joining me inside the Ice House.
Great to be with you, Lance. Thank you.
So it's remarkable, I must say, to spend over 35 years at one company, especially in today's business landscape where not only at the C-suite, but just with employees in general, there's movement all over the place, right? There's constant change in today's business world. So I do want to start just by taking it back now 3 decades. What first initially drew you to Elanco, and what is it about the company and its mission that has kept you so deeply committed and at the same place over these last 35 plus years?
I tell the story to every new employee group that I speak to that I'm an upstate New York farm boy. We struggled all through the 80s trying to survive in the dairy business. My dad also got into the grape business. And so it was like, hey, everybody had to leave the farm for 2 years, Lance, and go out and get an experience. And if you wanted to come back. So I literally on my Elanco application in 1989 was, hey, I'm flexible in upstate New York. I can move as far south as Pennsylvania, but not in Pennsylvania. I don't want to go to New England or Ohio. Well, 6 months in, I get the sales job and I actually get transferred to Indianapolis, and the rest is history. But I remember distinctly after the interview of Elanco, standing in an airport, putting a quarter in the payphone back then. There were no cell phones, and telling my dad, hey, I think I'm going to take the job, not with Welch's, that company he wanted me to take because we were in the grape business. I'm taking it with Elanco. Why? Because of 2 things. They laugh in the hallways. And they talk like it's theirs. My pig business, my product, my community, my team. And I will tell you today, 35 years later, that laughing in the hallway we call culture. And the my is ownership. And I would say 35 years later, those 2 principles in Elanco have prevailed. There is a very passionate, purpose-driven culture with people in the center. And there is a love for the business that creates ownership at another level. And that's prevailed. And the 2 years they gave up, I still send a little money home to my brother and dad. I'm a virtual farmer, but it doesn't come back to Indiana much.
So, Jeff, this longevity gives you a rare perspective. You mentioned 1989 when you sent in that application. You've experienced Elanco through different business cycles, strategic pivots, global challenges. Just how has that deep institutional knowledge, right, the 35 years of it, shaped the way that you lead the company now and make decisions for, its future?
Yeah, I think there's duality in anything that's good, right? There is how do we stay with the values, the legacy. We've got 3 values that came from our parent company, Eli Lilly. There is a culture, as I mentioned, that purpose and people and all the potential. There's those things you say, hey, we want to stay rooted in. This is who we are. Making animals' lives better makes life better. At the same time, as Jack Welch once said, hey, when the rate of change on the outside is faster than the rate of change on the inside, the end is near. You've got to reinvent. So it's legacy, values, staying rooted in that. And I think over the 35 years, I respect. There's not a week that goes by I don't talk to some legacy Elanco person from 4 decades ago to stay rooted in that. At the same time, we got to stay. We've never been in the animal business more relevant to society today with pets and protein than we are. So it's that constant everyday reinvention of yourself to stay young. I say, how old are you? And I'm not talking about physical age. I think COVID taught us a lot of people got really old or reinvented themselves, and it created really a split. And it taught me, reinvention every couple of years is critical.
So full disclosure, I want to go through a little bit of my pet history. I grew up without pets, right? My family, not that we were allergic. My parents just, 3 kids. They didn't really have time for a furry friend in our house. Oh, that's not true. I had a guinea pig, I had hermit crabs, but I didn't have the cat or the dog or the hamster, so on and so forth. I got married. Now I have a cat, Oliver, who I love very much. I know you have a few dogs. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're a Labrador guy. You mentioned that you obviously grew up on a dairy farm as well. But your team let me know, a dog guy, at least right now. Millions across the country are like you and I. They have pets. So a conversation like this hits at the heart of a lot of people, listening. Where did, I guess, first your interest in pet medicine stem from? Because while you say your family was in the grape business, you must have had some sort of interest or understanding of pet medicine? Is it simply just from wanting to have our companions, these furry friends that we have in our lives as long as possible? Or was there more to sort of your interest in the field and industry?
My story is so similar to so many other people. And man, this pet thing is just, it is powerful. Okay. So let me just share. I grew up on a farm with animals. I had a dog. I remember my first Labrador, Bridget, out in the doghouse, chained to this doghouse outside. And, but man, it was such a part of, out in the farm, traveling with us, sitting in the front of the truck with us. But it was an outside dog. And then suddenly, I get married. My wife and I, Annette and I, we have our first dog, Kendall, and boom, it's outside in a doghouse, but we started bringing it inside. And the dogs started to come inside. And oh, by the way, our industry was advancing to where fleas and tick control and other things that kept dogs outside can now come inside. The next dog, get another decade plus, and here comes Maggie. Now we got kids, and Maggie and the kids in the lake house, and she's swimming, and now the dog is not only coming inside, but it's going upstairs and it's getting in the bed with the kids. And now I have Lily and Lakin, because one dog's not enough. There's two dogs. And the two dogs are personalities, and they're Instagrammed, and it's the most photo. I have 6 kids. My wife and I, the dogs are the centerpiece of the family. And so what I would say is that's been the evolution over the last 40 years of this industry, is from outside to inside to upstairs to in the bed to people willing to spend more on their dog than maybe even themselves. And there's even fewer kids, and now there's more dogs. There's not one dog, there's 2 dogs, or there's cats, and there's gerbils, and so what I would just say is companionship is we were made, people, to be relational and to have community. And to me, I just want to say, pets, it's powerful. I came from a human medicine company. Now our job is longer, healthier, more active pet lives. And to solve all problems, not just ticks and fleas, but now it's pain and it's derm and it's itching and it's allergy and it's extending life. Why? Because making pets' lives better makes people better. The number one non-pharmaceutical intervention, Lance, for anxiety in children in this next generation is a pet. And I'm telling you, we are going to impact anxiety. We're going to impact loneliness of this aging population when they get left alone. A dog or a cat can make a massive difference. So I'm a purpose-driven guy, and I think everyone out there, when you get them to talk about their pets, the conversation totally changes, because that relationship is real. Anyone that has a pet knows when they look in the eyes of that pet when they get home, there is something there that is a special connection. And that special connection drives the 10,000 people of Elanco to say, I want a family early in that little child's life before he goes to school to get a puppy. And that puppy to be a dog when he graduates from college. Longer, healthier, more active lives of pets. Sorry, that's my story of pets is a story of the industry's evolution, and my love has evolved with the evolution of my Labradors, but everyone else's. And I love talking to people about pets. So yeah, I got to know the name of your pet.
So Oliver's a cat. We've had a few cats over the over the time we've been together. Oliver's our cat now. And look, your story is similar to mine in the sense that what you said is similar to what I envision, right? Like I just had a daughter. She's 3 months old. I can't wait to see her grow up, have Oliver side by side with her, so that when she eventually goes to school, she comes home, there's Ollie, right? She, goes to middle school, there's Ollie. He's probably about 5 or 6 right now. I know cats sometimes live to, 16, 17, sometimes even 18 too. Yep. So she might have, hopefully another decade plus with him. So to think of her as a 10-year-old child one day, with Oliver still side by side as her first cat, and her being then old enough to recognize Oliver as her first cat, because right now she just sees, this thing sort of walking around the apartment, right? But when she can recognize Oliver as her first cat, that's something I know that I, right, can't wait for, and that I, am trying to imagine, and foreshadow now, 10 years, before it could potentially even happen. So I can sense your passion, right? I'm very passionate, obviously, about pets as a whole. Like I said, I didn't grow up with any, but since having cats, I could see why people love having pets so much, while still understanding they're obviously a huge responsibility. And even cats, you got to make sure you do your best to take care of them.
Yes.
So you spoke to obviously the evolution of the industry, but being with the company for 35 years, you've obviously had the front row seat to Elanco's evolution. You mentioned early days as a division of Eli Lilly to becoming a global independent leader in animal health. Just talk to me about the biggest shifts that you've seen over the last 3+ decades that have brought Elanco now to this point where it is.
Yeah, we were like our industry. So when you think animal health, think of over 20 species of animals. We're farm animal, we're pet. I'm just talking about the industry. Elanco's very similar. So cattle and pigs and chickens and sheep, and these are all things that, are driving to a protein industry that has great trends as well, which we can talk about. And we're in over 100 countries and 20 species of animals. So, man, you touch a lot of space and a lot of lives every day with pets and protein. So the industry's really evolved from a very heavy livestock to the evolution of the pet industry to it becoming more global. So the whole protein movement of more protein in the diet and the pet movement and the humanization of pets have been the two tailwinds of the industry. And so what I would say is we all kind of grew up animal health companies as divisions of human pharma, taking compounds that were maybe used in other forms and reworking them, doing research with the FDA, very regulated, very science-based industry to make sure that, hey, Ollie the cat gets a product that works and does exactly what it says, and your veterinarian feels very confident in prescribing it to you and to Ollie. So that to me is the evolution of the industry. Elanco's story is we were part of, in our name, Elanco. It stands for Eli Lilly and Company, biggest pharmaceutical company today. In 2018, we spent 63 years inside that company, and we grew, and we were a division, one of the divisions of Lilly, and we grew, and we helped them through a time of when they were building their pipeline. We grew, and then in 2018, we spun out. We became a New York Stock Exchange company, and we spun out and became an independent company. We acquired Bayer Animal Health. Before that, Novartis Animal Health and Johnson & Johnson Animal Health. We acquired those companies to build a global independent company. And here over the last few years, as we'll get into, we have built a pipeline of innovation that we plan to bring to the industry, pet and farm animal. We're going to have 7 blockbusters we're launching right now that touch everything from itching dogs to parasiticides, tick, flea, heartworm in dogs, to a parvovirus that kills 700 puppies a day that we have the top treatment for, to how we can actually create less to no footprint on a cattle operation. So these are really relevant problems and big spaces. As an independent company, we're one of the only few companies that can reach the world's animals with solutions with over 10,000 people.
So you bring up the word innovation, and that's something I want to touch on because it's obviously a word that gets thrown around a lot among different companies and different industries. But, at Elanco, based off of what you're saying and based off my own research, it's clear that that word is embedded into the company's DNA. So first, before we talk specific innovation, right, and specific products, just how would you describe Elanco's core philosophy around innovation and the process from beginnings in a lab to the end result of one day helping Oliver the cat?
We grew up with the roots of human pharmaceuticals. And so I say something very clearly as 35 years in animal health is it all starts with science. And science is our constant. It is our center pillar of everything we do. Science has to be in the center. It has to have rigor. And we have to have an independent body like the FDA or the EMEA that actually views that science. Why? To assure that, hey, we need to make sure that drug is safe, it's efficacious, it has the right impact on the animal, not the wrong impact. We have the right profile. So I start there to say I believe strongly in a very high bar of science so that when we deliver a product to the industry, they can assure it does what it says it does. And then we actually follow that up with good regulatory overview every year in every instance. So that's one. Then 2 is we then look and say, hey, as our company, we say we want to solve today's biggest problems with best or first in class. So back early in the lab, there's lots of rigor. It takes sometimes anywhere from 6 to 10 years to bring a product to the market. Even once we have the compound, 6 to 10 years of research, running clinical studies, doing everything with concurrence of a FDA regulatory body. And then we just need to say, hey, when we bring a product to market, it's gotta for us, it's gotta be something different. It's gotta add more value. We're not gonna bring Me Too products to the marketplace. And so as an example, we are launching right now the first product that actually has 4 active ingredients in a pill for dogs called Credelio Quattro. And that will cover ticks and flea and also worm control, kind of the broadest coverage. And that will allow a veterinarian to give to a pet owner a pill once a month, and that will cover the needs of that that pet owner. That's something that has not been done before. Just like the dairy farmer, 45,000 cows that I was on at 4 in the morning on Tuesday in Kansas, that we have a product that's going into his feed. It's kind of like an antacid that reduces burping by 30%, that reduces a footprint that a Nestle or a Danone or a Starbucks is paying to say, hey, I'm getting dairy that is actually reducing the footprint of the environmental impact. So it's doing profound things with a science-based backing that changes the lives of people through pets and protein.
So I want to quickly ask about Credelio Quattro, as you obviously recently brought it up. The broadest canine oral parasiticide protecting dogs against 6 types of parasites. Just what does this breakthrough represent in terms of the innovation strategy you guys have? And how do you see a product like this just redefining the standard of care for both veterinarians and pet owners?
Yeah, I'm going to get real personal. I last night threw down 2 Credelio Quattros on the floor to my 2 dogs, and they gobbled it up like a beef treat, and they ate it.
Did you have to? Are your dogs ones where you have to mix it in with cheese? Did you have to put it in their food, or they'll just take it nice and easy?
We have with other products, and the industry has with other products, but this is one of the differentiations we believe with Quattro, and I had to see it for myself. So we got done with our older Credelio products, and now we launched the next generation. So last night we had the next generation at 8 o'clock in my kitchen with the 2 labs, and so of course I'm taking all kinds of pictures, sending to my team, but we're going to the lake this weekend over the holidays. Ticks and fleas and that muggy weather, I don't need to worry about, tapeworms that are out there that are zoonotic even to the family, etc. I got coverage. So it's making the solution practical. It's making it easy. It's not making, I don't need to run to the vet or get an injection or I need to take 3 pills to get the same coverage. So Quattro brings coverage. Quattro brings easy use. Quattro brings the fastest tick kill that is out there, and the first month worm coverage. These are things some of the other products don't have. Ultimately, a veterinarian can give these products to their customers and know, hey, I'm giving something that's assured. What's exciting on a business side is it's the biggest market. It's a $6 billion market globally. Think tick, flea, heartworm, other worms. That's a $6 billion market. Inside that $6 billion market in the U.S. is this broad spectrum oral, and it is growing like mad. And in the first 3 months, Lance, we've grabbed 10% market share inside the clinic, and we're real excited.
So I was doing some research. I was obviously talking to your team as well as preparing for this conversation, and they mentioned this next avenue of opportunity involving Lottolander and Elanco selling royalty and milestone right in human health to Blackstone. And I want to ask you about that because I found that so interesting. Just what opened the door for this transition, and how significant is it to see a molecule not go from human to animal, but to go from animal to human?
Great question. I'm really proud of our teams and all the collaboration. And Tarsus, the company that actually got formed out of this and is now on Wall Street and doing well, it's an example that I talk about because it's bigger than Elanco. I want One Health is around human, animal, plant, environmental. we have to take a One Health. I'm moving into a new headquarters that we built, and we got Purdue University joining us, human and animal companies joining us. We're creating this district of 50 acres in downtown Indianapolis, right next to Lucas Oil Stadium, and we're calling it the One Health Innovation District. And we're going to have students from Purdue, and we're going to have human pharma and animal health converging to say, if we can get innovation ideas by the next generation saying, how do we solve animal, plant, human, and environmental problems? We solve big things. So this was an example where we took a compound that worked in animals and said, hey, this active ingredient actually might work in, believe it or not, eye mites. That actually is a problem. And this is a safe compound that actually can be used in eye mites. And it started in this company, and we actually monetized the royalties off from the sales to actually pay down close to $300 million of debt last quarter.
And so you mentioned building this new headquarters right next to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, collaborations with Purdue University, with other animal health company or other human health companies, to really all come together and continue to work on this innovation. But with this specifically, this animal to human transition.
Yes.
Do you see this as the start of a new chapter where Elanco could contribute directly to human medicine even more?
Yes. And here's why. I mean, and the scientists know this, is we start right in the targeted species. So we have an active ingredient. We, like, for instance, have monoclonal antibodies. Ellen de Brabander, our head of R&D, and her team have actually created a great capability using AI and other technology to say, all right, we can target a class of compounds, and then we can target problem areas, but we can put it right into a dog or a cat right away. Where if you think about human medicine, they may need to go through, 3 or 4 other stages. So we can accelerate the science and early stage discovery faster and understand the mode of action faster. And that learnings can be translated into the human side very quickly. And so I actually think this opens a big door of opportunity, Lance. And it's a great question by you to say, hey, we can actually potentially accelerate R&D innovation for human pharma and maybe even plant science as well, to solve problems faster. And look for us and other major pharmaceutical companies to continue to collaborate. And we're doing that today.
And look, obviously this innovation takes time, right? It's not something that you can have done within a year, 2 years, 3 years. It takes, like you said, 6 to 10 years at times to go from beginnings in a lab to, ultimately have a product that is approved and that could go into an animal that an animal can use to better its health. We're seeing AI, right, transform industries across the board, drug discovery, disease modeling. How do you see AI enhancing or accelerating R&D efforts at Elanco, particularly as you look to develop more targeted solutions?
Okay, so I'm not going to be the typical, talking head with my talking points on AI, and let me tell you what we got to say. I'm just going to tell you what I think. First of all, I heard the stories about the internet and what the internet did. Just, the people that lived in the opening of the internet say, this is game changing. I will just say, I have 3 comments, personally, Jeff Simmons, on AI. One is, this is an industrial revolution type trend. It is here. It is big. I tell my 6 kids, I tell the entire organization, buckle up, start using it, don't fight it. And if you're not putting 6-8 hours a week into AI and active use personally, you are going to get behind, and you're going to get old fast, and you're going to get past. And so this should wake us all up and have a little bit of a personal revival around this. And so I that's my question every week to a lot of people is, how much AI did you use and how are you using it? So there's a personal application. The second is, I've got 9 direct reports, and I need to see a roadmap for all of them on every aspect of how you're using AI. So we have a template, and it's productivity, it's innovation, it's organization. Tell me how your department, and we're going to start measuring it. And then, yes, the 2 big areas as a company would be in innovation and in productivity, I and P. On the innovation side, it's all about faster decisions, faster targeting, faster getting to failure. In innovation, you still have the, 3,000 fails to 1 wins. I want to weed those 2,999 out fast.
Yeah.
So that to me is targeting is really, really key. And then acceleration, targeting and acceleration. And then over on productivity, it's tell me how we can do things more efficiently. Don't get scared. It's going to remove jobs and all this. Let's just say, hey, I want to keep this company growing significantly, double-digit bottom line, whatever we're going to. Well, guess what? How do we do it more efficiently? Every million of growth's got to come more efficiently, and let's look at that. So we've got a company-wide productivity effort, and AI is one of the key pillars. And every department is demanded to show me AI productivity. But I think the personal one, Lance, to me, our head of AI is reverse mentoring me right now. Matt Bull is mentoring me, and he's got a real problem child with me because I'm making him push me on a project every month, and it's hard. I set one Saturday morning, he made me 3 hours, take an area that I'm focused on and get as smart as I could and put a presentation together through AI. And that may seem very basic, but if you don't start applying it to your day-to-day work, you're going to get behind.
No, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying. I think there's no stopping it. And I think the crazy thing about AI is that we have what we have right now, the chat GPTs, right? All the big tech companies coming up with their own AI models. And yet there are still beliefs that we've only scratched the surface of its full capabilities. And with that being said, who knows what its full capabilities are or what yet is still to come with the technology itself. And so with that being said, do you think AI can one day help veterinarians, help pet owners, help companies like Elanco sort of get a head start on things that haven't even happened yet or diseases that might not even be around? Really try to anticipate what the market could be or what could be coming next for this industry.
Absolutely. And I don't even know. We're just on the edge of the surface. I just walked out an hour ago with one of the largest corporate vet clinics in America. And I mean, it's all about, hey, labor capacity, faster answers, more efficiency, and, hundreds of vet clinics that they have. And so to me, one is it's efficiency. Two, it's look, just on our own media. A year ago, we were putting all of our multimedia dollars into Google searches. And now it's a lot more around AI searches, and Google's part of that. But, it's a whole different game on reaching customers, whether they're pet owners or veterinarians, this is a whole new means of reaching people with the information that's needed. So, and then, I think there's no question a way to say, hey, the use of productivity and technology to enable better, faster decisions on all aspects. I mean, recruiting is another one that this can help drastically. So there's also the risk side of it. I mean, We're going to spend time in board meetings this year with our board saying you need to know it and be aware of it and using it to also be able to understand how to protect some of the other sides. You shouldn't be scared of it, but you should know also the downfalls like any good technology and protect that. And you can only do that if you're using it heavily.
So I want to quickly touch on just sustainability and livestock production. I know it's something you talked about before. It's obviously become a major focus globally. And how is Elanco working with farmers to reduce their environmental footprint? I know you talked a little bit about dairy earlier. And what role does innovation like Experior, for example, play in that goal?
Yeah. I'll first back up and just say, and I'll jump right in. I'll just say, hey, I always, you say 35 years, why this industry? Why not this industry? Anytime I'm on a campus recruiting, is there any place that's more relevant and more fun to be? And any listener out there that's wondering about a career, let me tell you, animal health, the power of the 3 Ps. Pets, the humanization of pets globally, 8 out of 10 homes in the US, only 2 to 3 out of 10 homes internationally. The future of this industry, or if you're an investor, look at that trend on protein. Protein. We consume more protein in the world than we ever have, animal protein than we ever have. 104 billion in the industry last year in the US alone. 10 billion is being invested in dairy. Why? Processed foods are coming down. MAHA, making America healthy again. Sugar coming down. Carbs coming down. What's the fastest food segment growing today? Animal protein. Even animal protein alternatives down 22%. Because they're processed. People want taste, cost, nutrition, meat, milk, eggs, fish, do that. Fastest growing brands, Fairlife Milk, Good Culture Cottage Cheese, Chomp's Meat Sticks up 370%. So we are in the middle of a revolution of animal protein, and I believe it is the best way to health. Why? Because, you can say GLPs and others, that's good, but muscle mass matters, good nutrition matters. So what do we need to do? Well, the next generation, Lance, if I look at Gen Zs and Alphas under 30 years of age, they want two things if they're going to come back to animal protein if they've left it. They want the animal taken care of. They want it healthy. They want it, good husbandry, good welfare. And second is they want no environment. So Elanco's casted a vision to say, we're going to help farmers all over this world move towards a climate neutral farm, capturing as many emissions as it's given out. And I was on one of the largest dairies, and I will say they are well on that path to do that. And the Nestle's and the Danons and the Starbucks are willing to do this. So Elanco has created an inset carbon market to where we can monetize productivity. We've set up the largest database, especially in the dairy industry, where every intervention a farmer takes is captured. It is certified by an independent body to where carbon credits can be sold. And then there's a bank that actually monetizes them, and CPG companies can get the benefit of that. And farmers are receiving $20 to $30 a cow when they only make $200 a year per cow. So it's got to be economically sustainable for the farmers first. It's got to be great for the consumers and the CPG companies. And it's going to help animal protein go to the next level, which really the world is voting with the demand right now to say they want that. So I'm fired up about animal protein right now, and I love to see what's happening in refrigerators all over this world. When you look at actually, what Fairlife and Coca-Cola is doing, what good, when I say what cottage cheese and the yogurts and the fish, and Elanco can help enable that with this climate impact. And so that's that. So you take a product like Experior, first FDA approved product. It just reached over $100 million for Elanco. It grew 200% last quarter. Experior actually can reduce ammonia in beef cattle. So it can actually bring the footprint down while actually reconverting some of the energy to protein. And that protein actually, that increased protein helps the farmers continue to make money. And we're launching Bovaer and dairy with something very similar. Got approval last year that actually will help reduce the footprint by 30% methane, the burping of cows. And that could be another couple $100 million product just in the U.S. alone. So
absolutely, no, absolutely. So Jeff,
sorry, I'm a little fired up on that, but look, to me, investors and future recruits and everything, why not animal health with the pets and protein trends that we're seeing?
Look, I can sense your passion in it. I think that's evident. I can sense your passion in the industry. I can sense your passion in what you do, and your passion for Elanco and for helping, pet owners, veterinarians, and of course, most importantly, the animals and the pets that we all have, be it, pets on a farm or pets in our home, be it cats and dogs. So as we sort of begin to wrap up our conversation, Elanco welcomed new CFO Robert Van Himberg in May. Just what does he bring to the leadership team, and how will his addition help the company accelerate the achievement of its goals?
Yeah, we've got a great team on the executive level, and we have a great team across the company. As I said, we've got about 100 senior leaders globally, 10 on my team, and about close to 10,000 people on the front line serving customers in over 100 countries. So just like any organization, you got to really be thoughtful on succession. You got to be thoughtful on as the company grows and is on this. Our growth is accelerating, our innovation is accelerating. We're generating more cash. We're paying down debt. We've delevered the company. We've got a path to high 3 times leverage. And that's what's causing, the upgrades as people are seeing all of this happening. We're globalizing our innovation, and we got a couple other key approvals coming here in the very near term. So all of this leads to the company on this continuum of increasing value creation in a significant way. And that's what the market's responding to. I think Elanco is one of the most compelling value propositions to Wall Street today with the trends and where we are as a company. So I'm looking at a senior team. We had a great CFO in Todd Young, 6 years, helped us a lot. And as we look at, his needs personally and professionally, I want to make sure I, have a good succession on that job. Bob brings over 30 years global experience, time in China, around the world. He's got great views and understanding with his CPA background on the accounting side, the balance sheet side, and what he's going to do. No change agenda. It's going to be a catalyst to the trajectory we're on growth, innovation, and cash. And he's going to be a great cultural fit relative to his background. That was the number one criteria to me. Is we have a very close team, and we will send Todd off with lots of accolades, and I'm a big supporter of him, and we will welcome Bob. And that's what good companies do, is they just have great succession and great transitions that allow the company to succeed and investors to succeed as well.
So at the beginning of our conversation, Jeff, we spoke to your long history with Elanco. I said over 35 years. You've seen the company evolve over the 3 decades plus that you've been in it. But as you now look ahead, just what's your vision? What's the overall team's vision for what Elanco can and ultimately will become in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, we just had 100 of our top leaders together last week. We believe in 5-year plans to keep ourselves focused. We want an infinite future, but we need finite milestones to create an infinite future. And business is an infinite game, just like education and other things. And so our next 5 years and our next 70 years, it comes back to keeping in the center pet owners, farmers, veterinarians. These are amazing, segments of customers that we serve, and pets and protein. But it's all about, we make animals' lives better, we make life better. But we're going to have the boldest 5-year plan we've ever had relative to the relevance of society. As I just told you, our impact is Ollie the cat. How do we make that become a reality with your daughter? And we make that cat have the longest, healthiest, most active life, to where there's pictures coming out of your home for the next 20 years on the relationship that your daughter has with that cat. And we do it in all ways, from a new diabetes product we have to life extension, to we want to discover those areas on the pet side. And I just said on the protein side, we want to be part of the obesity epidemic, to better lives, more active lives of people, and making animal protein and farmers actually give the consumers what they want. We do that. The relevance of almost touching every life every day with pets and protein, we will rise up and play, on the front lines of the world and some of the biggest challenges we have. That's our vision. Do it boldly, do it with purpose, do it with humility. Farmers and vets are very humble people. They're out front, we're behind them. And I give a cell phone number, a little leadership thing I do. I give a cell phone number to everybody in the company, my cell phone, as a symbol to say, yes, I'm accessible. But I believe, and the company believes, that nobody is more important than anybody else. We all have a job to do. And if we do that, the cell phone also symbolizes pick up the phone and call. Passive aggressiveness hurts families and it hurts companies. Speak to people directly, give trust, don't earn it. And let's all solve decisions in the same day by a phone call or a text, not a reply all 30-person email that happens over the course of a month. So we have a cell phone culture to drive humility, to come back to say, hey, this is all about food and companionship, enriching life, making animals' lives better makes life better.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate what you do for veterinarians, farmers, pet owners, cattle, and of course, my most important furry friend, my cat, Oliver. Thank you so much for joining us inside the Ice House.
Thanks, Lance.